you want to break free? Meditate, or in other words, observe. Always remember, a part of the mind creates the psychological self. The psychological self is the one that interferes when you meditate, influences your decisions but also disturbs your serenity. For those who do not understand, the observer is the observed. The meditator believes that he observes how he himself thinks. For the one who understands, the observer is something separate from the observed, and the observed is his mind. The meditator has noticed that a part of the mind works mechanically, automatically, and he does not identify with it. The meditator knows that it is not he who thinks, but a part of his mind. Break the habit of remembering who you are, and discover who you really are, beyond memory. Whoever does not seek to see what the self is, will waste his time thinking that he is meditating, and will never be freed from his bonds and limitations. Whoever seeks to see what the self is, will understand how the psychological self-subconscious mind works. He who understands will be liberated and experience supreme peace and bliss. In this video we will look at both states of the person who meditates, of those who have not understood what they should do, and the implications of this, but also of those who have noticed, understood and set themselves free. Those who don't understand are those who try incessantly to no avail. In this video, using the examples those who don't understand, those who understand, the reader can reflect on some detail that he may not have noticed, finally notice it, focus and be able to break the chains that have held him down for so long time. This video is an enlightening guide not only for those who meditate, but for all people who are looking to break free from their limitations, for all people who can't take it anymore, and are looking for change. A video with flow, beginning, middle and end, but at the same time divided by timestamps, so that the reader can more quickly find what he wants in future readings, and reflect on the part he needs. But know that observing is not just for those who meditate. There are people out there who have never meditated, and just by observing they have been able to change their lives. Whether you meditate or not, the following information will change your life. We only need to see clearly and then our whole life changes. Share the video with all your friends and acquaintances. We all have someone that we want to see him smile again. They will thank you forever. You are the rabbit, but also the rabbit hole. Are you ready to make it to the end? Commit yourself to see and understand. There is no such thing as failure, only different levels of determination. Don't blame your chattering mind. A piece of it must have memory, or you'll have to relive it all over again. Break the relationship of your identification with memory. The mind was given to you to decide the path you want to take. Don't mentally relive your memories over and over again. Break the illusion that you are the one who's thinking, otherwise you will try to control and suffer. Your memory and your imagination are the chattering mind. Understand this. Begin to observe without judging or evaluating, so that you can unlock the true intelligence gifted to you by existence. This is how you will understand the chattering mind. By understanding the chattering mind, you will see that it stems from the subconscious mind, the self, the automatic thinking. Knowing the repetition, the automatic thinking, the thought-feeling relationship will stop. When you see that you are the observer, self-domination ceases, then you will be freed once and for all. If all of the above is difficult for you to understand, then in simple words, observe everything and judge nothing. And to whom it hasn't happened? How many times have we not experienced sitting down to meditate, observing our thoughts, and once the chattering mind starts thinking and remembering things from the past or imagining things about the future, meditation, our own life becomes a torture. Something is wrong, but what? For the most part, the thoughts that trouble us are negative experiences with everything that is unpleasant to us and we want to avoid at all costs. We may succeed over time in controlling our mind and the mindless thinking, but this does not mean that we have completely freed ourselves from the shackles of the mind. We will get to the point where we periodically have to control it, struggle within ourselves and end up mechanical like robots. The liberated mind is one thing, and the controlled one is another. No need to fight within yourself, you are wasting precious time. We must commit to ourselves. At this point we must understand that we have serious work to do, not difficult, but serious. If we just want to relax, let's go to a spa to be bathed like Queen Cleopatra with milk and flowers. It's one thing to take a break to rest and another to run away from the problem with temporary solutions. You are looking for understanding and liberation and not for simple relaxation, isn't it? If you want to temporarily relax and escape from your reality, then the spa solution is perfect. But if you want to calm down once and for all, sit down and do it right, knowing what you're doing and how to do it. Otherwise, fellow seeker, I sincerely wish you good luck. Did we misunderstand or were they not explained to us? Let us understand that meditation has been taught since ancient times and reaches our days. In ancient times the phrase "stop thinking" was perhaps understood by the practitioners, because there was information about the parts of the mind. Is there any information nowadays? Please imagine that if we speak any concepts we use today to an ancient man, we would have to explain to him what we mean, since in his time these concepts did not exist. So we also need to understand stop thinking too. Stop thinking or stop identifying with what you think. We will investigate this below. The standard in meditation is sit down and stop thinking. But they did not tell you that you're not the one thinking when the mind itself is chatting. You have not learned the difference between choosing to decide an issue outside of the state of automatic thinking, versus your mind thinking whatever it wants by running here and there. Stop thinking to someone who is just starting out or someone who doesn't understand the meaning, is like he is being told to meditate and stop his heart. He is troubled and does not understand. He wonders, how to stop the mind? How to stop thinking? Is this even possible? The famous stop thinking, control your thoughts. Why control your mind? What's wrong with having a brain inside your body? What part of the mind is unpleasant to you? Which part of your mind do you use to perceive your life or to make decisions? What part of your mind have you identified with, that is bothering you and you want to control it? Trying to control the mind is a recipe for suffering. Be careful. It is the mind that tells you that the mind must be controlled. A part of the mind is the self, you will understand. Keep watching. Existence would not have given you the mind if it was not useful to you for this world. Existence would never put you in a permanent conflict within yourself. You are simply using what was given to you the wrong way. Is the mind actually to blame? What do we mean by stop thinking? Why is everyone against the mind? Let us reflect for a moment. To which mind are we referring? Are we referring to the freed mind or the chattering mind? Are you really the one thinking incessantly? Or is there an automatic thought process, and if so, where does it come from? We have never been disturbed by the creative mind, the liberated mind. The chattering mind is what makes us uncomfortable and we want to stop it at all costs. By watching this video to the end, you will understand that it is not you who is thinking, but a part of your mind that chats non-stop, and your mistake is that you have identified with it. Please think about it. Does sometimes your mind run to the before and the after, without your choice? Do you like to be at the mercy of an automatic process called automatic thinking? Do you want to enjoy the present and see clearly without conflicts? The chattering mind. He who does not understand the chattering mind, suffers and is lost in his thoughts. He imagines and reminisces, controls and avoids. The thoughts that disturb us in meditation but also in our daily life, are those that travel psychologically in time, past and future, which are used by the chattering mind, the psychological mind, the self. The names are different but they are the same in terms of your experience. So they are past and future thoughts, which often influence our decisions in the now, and this is because most of the time we decide through our experiences, through our psychology and not with a clear mind. All the thoughts that bother us are those of fear, either because we experienced something in the past that scarred us and this whole situation keeps us in the past psychologically, or because we experienced something in the past that scarred us and we absolutely do not want it to happen again in the future. So we have past thoughts which keep us in the past psychologically and future thoughts which keep us in a permanent worry about the future. This is how we end up psychologically living either in the past or in the future, as a result of which we lose all the moments of the ever-flowing now. Please understand this, in reality you cannot suffer the past, because it does not exist anymore, and you cannot suffer the future, because it has not yet manifested. In reality you suffer your memory and your imagination. What once had happened or what may happen next, and the now goes untapped. He who understands, knows that it is not possible to travel to the present through thought, since the present is happening now and he thus lives permanently in the present. When he has to make a decision he does not decide through his psychology or through fear. He who understands, knows that the body lives permanently in the present, in the now, but also knows that the psychological mind travels back and forth. He knows that the self can travel into the past and the future through thought, and knowing this, he remains unaffected. While the thought is happening he observes what is happening. Live in the present moment, don't think about the past, don't be afraid of the future. But how has he who understands understood? What did he see and understand? He began to observe, without judging or evaluating. There is only one solution, observation of the mind, without any evaluation and criticism. All you have to do when you decide to sit down is to observe. It is so simple. You have to understand to be able to see. From a young age you learn so much by observing the world around you. Do you think there is some magic recipe to find out about yourself? You don't want to stop any thought, and we'll explain it right away. It is just like the sky and the clouds. Clouds come and go without the sky being emotionally involved. The sky is not afraid of the clouds or the rain. The sky knows everything is transient, everything comes and goes. So sit back, close your eyes and just notice what's going on inside your mind. Whatever image and thought passes in front of you, observe it as if you were watching an informative documentary on television. Whatever your experience may be at that time, don't cling to it, don't engage with it. The secret is not to judge any image as good or bad. I like it or I don't like it, it makes me feel good or it makes me feel bad. Let everything come and go like the running water. Let the thoughts come and go without chatting with them. They are not visitors to chat with, they are just passing by. Don't open your emotional door to them. If you understand this, then you immediately understand that you are the observer, and you observe to see what is inside the trunk. You don't care what you may find, you just discover. How beautiful would it be to be able to watch a thought pass by without it being able to affect you? Where do the clouds called thoughts come from? We will understand the automatic psychological thinking that is the subconscious mind. A part of the mind is its subconscious part, the well-known subconscious mind. Well known as a name, but not understood. It is the subconscious mind that brings us discomfort in meditation and decisions we have to make in our lives. Subconscious means below the conscious. We don't realize it's happening, we're not aware it's happening, it happens automatically. In simple words, remember that the subconscious mind does not recognize right and wrong, it simply records everything, everything it sees, everything it hears, everything we feel, all skills, all habits and all experiences. It literally records everything. Do you now have to figure out how to walk like you did when you were a baby? Of course not, now it's done automatically. Just as walking is now automatic, so are you. You are used to reacting automatically. You have ready-made reactions for every incident, subconsciously. The subconscious mind is the autopilot in our lives. He who does not understand, thinks that the thoughts that are passing are his own. He does not see the automation. He who understands, knows that there is an automatic process called psychological thinking which originates from the subconscious mind. Knowing the workings of the subconscious mind, a gap slowly is being created between the observer and automatic thinking. Once the gap is created, then the self is presented to him. He who understands has seen that the self is a derivative of the subconscious mind, and is no longer identified with it. The psychological self is a derivative of the subconscious mind. Let's ask a question. Is the self built slowly over the course of our life by the subconscious mind, which subconscious mind is connected to memory, which memory has recorded and continues to record experiences and feelings, that slowly formed and continue to form the self? Are all these one? Subconscious mind, memory, psychological self, chattering mind equals you? Put them in any order you want, in terms of your experience, what you experience, the result is the same. Do you see the vicious cycle? It is memory that gives birth to identification and repetition that brings consolidation of the self. We think we are who we learned to be. In fact, even before we understand this, we are a product of education and experiences. On the one hand we have the possibility of a pure uninfluenced mind, and on the other hand we have the psychological self, as it concerns the automatic pilot with which we spend our lives. Through the psychological self, you think the way you feel and feel the way you think. And then you go on thinking the way you feel and feeling the way you think. And always remember, you get better at what you practice. How do you expect this vicious cycle to end? Controlling your mind? Calming it down? If you try it this way, then once again, I sincerely wish you the best of luck. Mind control is not the solution. He who does not understand, is permanently in the net of thought, feels the way he thinks and thinks the way he feels. He who understands has seen the vicious cycle of repetition of thinking and feeling and thinking, and moves away from this game. When someone sees the relationship between emotions and thinking, he understands, his perception changes and he begins to revise how he saw and judged things and situations. You are the observer and not the self. You must do a deep inquiry after experiencing the thoughts and images. When I observe with all my attention, who is he who is aware that is thinking when the thinking is happening? Am I or am I not the one observing? Since it is I who observes, then who is it that is being observed while it is thinking? Is it or is it not the psychological self, the autopilot? Here we can understand that we have someone observing, and something running automatically as a process. Do you ever remember in your life, your mind running here and there, and suddenly you asked yourself, how did I just think of this, and momentarily the thought stopped? What happened at that moment? Why is thought interrupted? He who does not understand thinks that he is the one who is thinking while the automatic thinking is happening. He who understands, has understood that automatic thoughts come from the subconscious mind, which means automation, also has understood that the self is something made through habits, and thus he ceases to be its habits and begins to think from the beginning who I am and what I want. Let's explain it more below. Go back with your memory one last time. See what your subconscious mind recorded. Then you will see how you built yourself. Self equals experiences. Experiences equals self. You are none of your experiences, they are just your experiences. Understand this confusion in your head. This understanding will help you more than you can imagine. Please understand that from the moment you were born and before you began to define yourself, you existed. These first 2, 3, 4, 5 years of your life, before you acquired long-term memory, you were among us. Back then, who were you? I was a baby then. And then you became all this: name, profession, religion? These are your experiences, not who you are. Don't identify with experiences. From the moment you were born, you existed in this world. You were not a baby who did not understand. It was just that your mind was in a pure state of observation and recording. What is this and what is that? Who are you? Who is she? Etc. As you grew older and began to acquire long-term memory, you began to build your personality. You slowly began to recognize faces, react to your name, to acquire an identity, habits. Your parents gave you your name, you learned your profession, and your religion was also given to you. Can you see that all these are your experiences on this planet? You cannot be something that was given to you: name, culture. When you came to this earth, you had no name, no culture, and yet you were. You didn't have, but you existed. You cannot be something that belongs to you, objects, prestige. When you came to this earth, you did not have a BMW, there was no self, there was no mine, there was no prestige of the car, and yet you were. You did not possess, but you existed. You cannot be something you learned, studies, profession. When you came to this earth, you had no education and no career to say I am a lawyer, yet you were. You weren't a lawyer, but you existed. You cannot be something you experienced, emotions. When you came to this earth, you had not gathered emotions to build yourself up, but you were. You didn't have accumulated experiences, but you existed. You cannot be your experiences. They are just your experiences. When something is yours, it can't be you. If you see that you are not your experiences, you are moving away from the psychological self. We can truly live in the moment, enjoying everything without a change in our mood. We just need to see the psychological self. He or she who you think you are and identify with, is your earthly experiences and not you. It's just like when you have a motorbike, you are the driver, the soul having the experience, and the motorcycle is the vehicle, the body through which the soul has the experience. If you understand that you are the driver, then all is good, but if you think that you are the motorbike, then there is a problem. Please review immediately who you are. He who does not understand is identified with the self, which is none other than the accumulated experiences of long-term memory. This is how identification is born. The one who does not understand thinks like this: I am Nick, I am Greek, I am a Chinese language teacher, I have a BMW, and he filters his whole life through the limited self, which will never be satisfied because it always demands new things, nothing completes it. He who understands, knows that, he was incarnated by taking a body in this world, in this country, he was given a name, he practices this profession, he has a car, and all these are his experiences on this planet. Perhaps after all, the game of the Matrix is to first identify ourselves, and then awaken to the illusion of identification so that the Matrix can collapse. In how many lifetimes you will achieve this, is purely your choice. Observer and observed. The separation. He who does not understand, thinks that the observer is the observed. If the meditator does not understand that the psychological mind, the self, means automatic thinking, and continues to think that the images presented are the images he himself is thinking, then he falls into the trap of thinking that he is himself thinking. So since the subconscious mind is automatic thinking, does it happen that when we sit down to meditate or decide, the psychological self automatically starts projecting images and thoughts? Like a computer with 1,000 videos and photos on the hard drive, that has the ability to open whatever it wants in random order or based on the psychology of the moment. He who understands, knows that at the time of observation all thoughts are experiences presented to him through the automatic thinking of the subconscious mind self, and he remains unaffected and peaceful, nothing disturbs him, and because he is not disturbed, the thought stops and so he can go deeper. For so long we believed that everything that went through our minds was our own thought. This results in the meditator believing that he is observing how he himself thinks and remains in delusion, and the illusion of the self. But if we know what's going on, if we've been informed, then we're ready to let go of attachment and let the automatic projection of images and thoughts unfold before us. We let the clouds pass. We've already come to know the subconscious mind, how it works, and then something unprecedented is happening. We begin to understand that the observer has the ability to be disidentified with automatic thinking. It is the psychological self that thinks and not I, because I observe. The observer observes the observed, the subconscious mind, the self, the images and thoughts, but does not judge them. The observer is me, the I, and the observed is the thinking psychological self, the automatic thinking self. The observer observes and only thus discovers and knows, not through books. Awakening is experiential, not knowledge you collect. These are instructions to be acted upon. The observer observes and only thus discovers and knows. When we understand this and distance is created between the observer and the self, we reach a point where the mind can think what it wants and we can remain unaffected. Then there is no problem with images and thoughts. Over time the automatic thinking stops, the gap grows and you separate from the fictitious psychological self. You see the world with different eyes and understand it differently. Then begins the discovery for some or the remembrance for others. Give it whatever name you want. Meditation is essentially bringing to the conscious part of your mind the automation of the psychological self. To make the subconscious conscious, which means to understand how the subconscious part of your mind works. Meditation means to shed light, to be known to you what is going on inside your head. The first stage, let's call it like this, of meditation is to see what is going on inside our head and make the necessary separation. Over time, the observer also disappears. This happens after separating the observer and the observed. After the separation is made, first the mind quiets down and then the observer also disappears. Then everything is revealed. In case you feel discomfort at first, don't be disappointed. Know that it is your psychological self that is trying to stay alive. Its dominance is at stake. While for so long you have been trying to control your mind, now by simply observing, the automatic thinking ends, the chatting in the head stops, and the images end. And all that was theory and difficult, becomes practical and easy. Don't fight anything inside you, just observe it. Now do you see why all the awakened masters said to observe? After we learn to observe and the mind calms down, then and only then can other dimensions of understanding of existence, the universe, everything be revealed to you. Only then can higher vibrations of consciousness be unlocked. For example, although we experience life and spacetime as separate individuals, everything is connected. Although seemingly separate, all are one. First you have to create a space between you and the automatic thinking, and then the calmness is created automatically, and that is where you will eventually discover who you are. When the mind calms down, existence whispers all its secrets to you. No goals, no do or do not, just observe without judgment. When all that you read will not be accumulated knowledge just for discussion, when all this will not be just an idea in your head, when all of the above he who understands will be your experience, you will have understood, you will have experienced them, you will have tasted them. Then and only then will the process of your experiential awakening begin. Now you know, in the world of information and application, ignorance and passivity is a choice. Choose wisely. Stand up. Look clearly. Wake up. Awaken. Commit yourself to see and understand. There is no such thing as failure, only different levels of determination. Don't blame your chattering mind. A piece of it must have memory, or you'll have to relive it all over again. Break the relationship of your identification with memory. The mind was given to you to decide the path you want to take. Don't mentally relive your memories over and over again. Break the illusion that you are the one who's thinking, otherwise you will try to control and suffer. Your memory and your imagination are the chattering mind, understand this. Begin to observe without judging or evaluating, so that you can unlock the true intelligence gifted to you by existence. This is how you will understand the chattering mind. By understanding the chattering mind, you will see that it stems from the subconscious mind, the self, the automatic thinking. Knowing the repetition, the automatic thinking, the thought-feeling relationship will stop. When you see that you are the observer, self-domination ceases, then you will be freed once and for all. If all of the above is difficult for you to understand, then in simple words, observe everything and judge nothing. Once the subconscious mind, the psychological self stops ruling our lives, there will be no jails, psychiatry, unhappy people and breakups, of friends, couples, married and parents with their children. Once people understand the subconscious mind that produces the psychological self, this planet will be a paradise. You would never go out of your way consciously to hurt anyone. Once humanity understands, it will vibrate at higher levels of frequency and consciousness. Every day, more and more people are waking up from the slumber of the matrix illusion. Once the subconscious mind psychological self stops ruling our lives, no one will hurt anyone, there will be no karma to pay off, and the cycle of reincarnations on Earth will stop, and everyone will go where they need to go as far as evolutionary reference course is concerned. What I am describing is not a utopian world that I imagine in my head, but the humanity of the future. Choose wisely. Stand up. Look clearly. Wake up. Awaken. Fellow seeker, I wish you a good start.